Welcome into the Legislative Lounge. My name is Natebige, your host, with my co-host here, Professor Mike. And man, do we have a week for you. Lots of just absolute craziness going on this week, Mike, right?
100%. It's like the country is imploding. Well, at least a small sector of it is imploding. Um, yeah, we got a lot to talk about.
I mean, we're sitting over here with congressional members just making the most cringiest videos to them citing things that they know that are absolutely against the law, saying that they're not, while being an attorney themselves, and just the absolute implosion or the appearance of an implosion of the Democratic Party, honestly, in my opinion.
Yeah, that Jasmine Crockett saying what she said on live television. Um, as someone who's currently studying, that just that's just wow. It shows you that I guess they're just giving out bar cards.
Apparently, I mean, they've got, there's a lot of famous TikTok lawyers and attorneys all over social media that are reposting it just to basically make fun of her because they know that she's blatantly lying. It's not a matter of whether or not she's smart or not, because we all know she's intelligent, right? I mean, she's got a JD, right? And she passed the bar exam. She's not stupid by so the only thing left is knowing that she's blatantly lying.
Mhm.
And for those that aren't aware or haven't seen it, because it has went absolutely viral, this is a clip from Jasmine Crockett, who is at the House of Representatives out of District 30 here in the state of Texas, which is the south part of Dallas, stating that illegal immigration or crossing the border illegally, and she uses that term illegally, is not a crime. Take a look at this.
Not a criminal violation to enter the country illegally. It's not a criminal. It's a crime. It's not a crime, which is why they're so frustrated, because they really want our local law enforcement to go out and round up people when they could be looking out for the murderers and the sexual abusers as well as the robbers. They want them to go and round people up on civil accusations.
I mean, civil accusations. I mean, you just know just by listening to her, she's absolutely just trying to make up terminology because
Mhm.
she knows what she's saying is complete bullshit.
Yep. I
And
mean,
the Go ahead.
at the beginning of it, if you enter the country illegally, it is not a crime.
I mean, using the terminology illegally and not a crime all in the same sentence has got to be one of the funniest things I've heard coming from a legal professional.
She's a legal person, all right. I don't know about professional.
I
Like,
mean,
hey,
she has been a defense attorney. She had her own law firm. I mean, by all accounts, she is a legal professional, but that's how you just know it's not a matter of whether or not she's knows what she's talking about or is just stupid. It's the fact that she's blatantly lying to people.
100%. I mean, um, it's like Kamala Harris 2.0. Jasmine Crockett is the fake ghetto version of Kamala Harris. And 8 US Code 1325 exists. Illegal entry. Illegal entry of aliens. So,
Right.
I mean,
I
it's
mean,
it's simple.
this is the code that Mike was just talking about. I mean, 8 USC 1325 is unlawful entry, and it talks about in here that it is a federal crime, and that you can be fined and imprisoned for it.
100%. And actually, if you see the unlawful entry, failure to deport, fleeing immigration checkpoints, um,
Mhm.
failure, marriage fraud. There you go. Marriage fraud. That's Ilhan Omar marrying her brother.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. We'll get to that too, but I mean, it even talks about here in 1326 about the illegal re-entry after deportation, and goes into the detail about the maximum penalties in regards to 2 years of imprisonment.
Hmm.
So, and it is considered, and a lot of people she says this is a civil problem, right? No, it's a felony. It quite literally is a felony. It says it right in the code. But then you got people out here aiding and abetting the entry and the removal of people. I'm sorry, from them being detained under 1324. It talks about how an illegal alien should be if you're going to let me pull it up here for you. If you're going to aid and abet an illegal alien, then that's a federal crime all in itself.
Oh man, sounds like somebody we know.
Exactly, and that's why I'm bringing it up. USC 8 USC 1324, just so that people are aware. You can pull it right up on the Department of Justice website. All right. In this, it talks about the offenses: harboring, encouraging, inducing, aiding, right here. So we need to have this conversation with a little old lady from, well, not old, a little young lady from the Bronx of New York, in Cortez, Miss Cortez, because she not only did she sit out here and aid and abet by instructing illegal aliens how to keep away from ICE through a video that she posted on the internet, right? But come to find out this past week, Mike, what did we find out about her staff?
Oh yes, one of her top aides self-deported back to Colombia because he was illegal.
Ooh. So not only is she aiding and abetting, she's committing another felony charge of harboring and employing illegal aliens.
100%. Um, I think it's well past time that we start holding these individuals accountable.
Absolutely. I know that when it comes to the Department of Justice, they have been calling some people in the Department of Justice, along with Tom Homan and a number of other people, even in Congress, have called on the DOJ to seek an investigation into AOC and how she's aiding and abetting these people from being detained by ICE and transported back to their country that they're from.
And going back to Jasmine Crockett, the way she speaks, she like I got a quote here. We are going to be in your face. We are going to be on your asses, and we are going to make sure you understand what democracy looks like. And this ain't it. She said this at a rally. Like, you know, it's becoming very evident with everything that's going on with the Democrat Party and the protests going around that the Democrat Party is legitimately the modern version of the National Socialist Party.
Right?
And those that support the Democrat Party have, what is that, Stockholm syndrome. They are so mad that we are uncovering so much fraud, waste, and abuse. We are experiencing so much change in such a rapid amount of time. They are just rebelling against the truth. It's like a domestic violence relationship. You're trying to tell this person this is not a good place for you to be, but yet they stay there anyway.
Right. I mean, you see it all over the internet and social media in general, just how obsessed they are with seeing Donald Trump fail because of the mantra that the Democrats continuously push on a daily basis, and not understanding, like, if he fails, you fail. Like, me and you and a lot of Republicans did not want Joe Biden to fail. We knew he would because he's an absolute imbecile, but we didn't want him to fail because we are hurt by that.
Yeah, 100%.
And we saw it with the price of gas, the price of eggs, the price of groceries, the price of everything went up. And
100.
you can only sit here and blame COVID for so long, especially when you're warned by economic strategists and economists themselves about the Inflation Reduction Act or the American Rescue Plan being extremely inflationary. When you're not listening to the experts, what are you supposed to do?
Well, I mean, you can't just artificially create something.
Mhm.
And, you know, though I wasn't, though I, took part in the stimulus checks, I think it was good to start off the first couple to
Mhm.
kind of move the ball forward as we were reawakening after COVID, but to continue to artificially stimulate the economy, to have more demand than there was supply. Like
Right.
it's basic economics. Like that's like day number one of economics 101. If you have more demand than supply, then obviously prices are going to increase exponentially.
And you got the Federal Reserve just printing new billions of dollars. Like that is the absolute definition of inflation, and yet we're sitting back just like, oh, yep, okay, we told everybody, don't save that money.
Mhm.
I used to move to Texas, which was the best decision I've ever made. So if you're hurting right now, we told you so. But you got Democrats out here just absolutely losing their mind over the mantra that the Democrats are going on about Donald Trump being this absolute, oh, he's going to destroy. It's a constitutional crisis. You know all their buzzwords and their little scripts that they give out. But
Oh yeah.
you've got them out here on TikTok asking for the military to step in place. Take a look at this video from an individual.
Well, anyone that watched the debacle last night knows that it is truly time for the Democrats to be calling upon the military to remove MAGA. I'm not making this up. It's in our Declaration of Independence. When our government no longer serves the people, when the government runs out of control, it is the responsibility, no, it is the right of the people to replace that government. And boy, is it time. Will the Democrats call upon the military to remove this fascist regime that does not in any way support the Constitution, that has broken every oath of office? No. Will they try to impeach? No. What will they do? Not much. Thanks, Joe Biden. This is all your fault. Thanks so much for it. And bye, America. It was a nice 200 plus years, right, Ember? It was good, but it's over now.
Just the pure drama. And honestly, the cannibalism of the Democrat Party is the funniest part about all of this. You have Democrats going at each other in Congress all the way down to the streets, and they are just trying to fight together, but yet they keep clashing, seeing all this nonsense going on. And what he was referring to was the State of the Union address just last Tuesday, and how, they claimed that Donald Trump was sitting there just lie after lie. But in all reality, he was sitting there calling out the Democrats for one, which I absolutely love that.
Mhm.
And you have Democrats out here not giving an applause for a child with cancer, survivors of an assassination attempt, and their families. Like, this is just the disgust of the Democrat Party.
100%. And sorry for that loud noise. I guess my mic decided to take a dive. Um, yeah. I really want to know what exactly Donald Trump has done that is fascist. Um, so it's not exactly how the Declaration of Independence words it. Um, s- you have if you're going to make the claim that somebody is a fascist or the government's tyrannical, you have to bring evidence. And the evidence I have of Democrat Party being National Socialist is the complete obliteration of liberty. Think of COVID.
Hmm. Right.
requiring vaccine passports. I mean,
Right. I mean, to me, it's the pure hypocrisy of the left, honestly, especially in this video alone, right? They're sitting here calling for the military, which, funny enough, they don't realize that they're calling upon the military just because they don't like an individual, right? They don't like the president. They don't like what regardless of whether or not he's actually doing something, that goes against the oath of office like he claimed, isn't even in his mind because they're not really looking at it. It's the fact that they're sitting here saying that they're a tyrannical government. We have the right to remove them. But for the last 4 years, Mike, what did we hear? Oh, they're traitors. They they don't think that our government is for the people, and you guys are just treasonous individuals against America. You're fascists and all this other nonsense, stemming as far back as January 6th.
but it's just wild to me, right? Like we talk daily, multiple times a day. I don't remember there ever being a large social media presence where people were calling to um, end the president's life
Mm.
and, or attack people and his advisors or attack his cabinet members. We have seen multiple videos across Twitter or X, across TikTok, Facebook, what have you, of people just calling for the assassination of Donald Trump
I mean,
for
it's almost like a daily thing now.
yeah,
They're not even hiding it. A lot of them aren't even mincing their words. Like in the beginning, it was like, somebody's got to do it, like not actually saying it, but giving the winky face. Now they're just like, I can't wait to see the headline where he's dead. Like,
yeah, and now you got um like I was just reading an article just a minute ago before we started this. There on a Tesla dealership, there's 44 tires off Teslas that were stolen.
mm.
Like you're so mad because this man is exposing the fraud and waste in our government.
And I
It
mean, I
doesn't
don't
make
know if
sense to me.
I mean they're attacking him from every angle. I mean, I don't know if you heard, Mike, because I know you worked a late shift, but even X had a massive cyber attack today.
Yeah, I saw that. Actually, according to Elon Musk, the attack stems from Ukraine.
Yep. You really start to have to ask questions like, okay, is this a coordinated attack? Is this because we do know that Zelensky and his whole party over there in Ukraine are very buddy buddy with the Democrats over here.
Oh yeah, I mean they're buddy buddy with the Democrats. They're buddy buddy with NATO. Ukraine is not a NATO ally. They're not a part of NATO.
Mm-mm.
So we have, there's this big misinformation train about how we have an obligation according to Article 5. Article 5 pertains to NATO membership,
Right.
and since Ukraine is not a NATO ally and not a member of NATO, we have no obligation under Article 5. So
And then
as we get more um as we see more and more extremism, from the Democrat Party, from
right.
Ukraine, from members of NATO, you start to see I said the Democrat earlier was the modern version of the National Socialist Party. Well, now we're seeing the modern version of the Axis powers. There's a term that nobody's heard in a while.
Right. I mean, this even stems into a different areas, or not even. It just kind of stems off of it. Is the whole situation between Ukraine and Russia, and now supposedly the whole EU in of itself. But I mean, Ukraine itself, we told him, I was like, if you mess around with Donald Trump, he's gonna stick it to you. And what happened? He stuck it to him because he
Mhm.
said, "All right, Zelensky, after you groveled back to us in public and said you're sorry, I'll accept it. But what we're gonna need is to get you the federal or the military and the federal funding that we were previously. you're going to need to give us not only that mineral rights deal, you're going to have to sit down and make a peace deal with Russia. And there's other stipulations around requiring Ukraine to commence an election to replace Zelensky, with a few other things. But I thought that those three in and of itself is a great deal, honestly.
100%. When it comes to peace, Donald Trump's not, calling to arm Ukraine. He's not calling to back Russia.
Right.
He's called out Zelensky. He's called out Putin. He wants to bring them both to the negotiating table, which is, that whole thing that went on at the White House when Zelensky brought a ceasefire up in front of the mainstream media, in front of America, when it wasn't supposed to be talked about. Like, that was why Donald Trump and J.D. Vance were pissed. We're here to talk about the mineral rights deal, and you want to talk about a ceasefire? Like, we
Right.
can't
I know
talk
that
about a
I think
ceasefire. Go ahead.
right, and it's because of all of that. I mean, it's pushed Zelensky to really to follow heel, and it's been announced that they're supposed to be meeting this week in Saudi Arabia, both the delegates of Russia and Ukraine, to talk about these peace deals. Because I mean, you're sitting over here saying, "Oh, we're losing men, our country is being destroyed," but yet you've declined every ceasefire thus far and saying you didn't want peace. I mean, he
Right.
outrightly said, "I don't want peace."
There, he also says they're losing men, but Ukraine is literally going around kidnapping men and conscripting them into service.
Right. I saw some videos of that over in Ukraine where they're literally like putting bags over their head, throwing them into a minivan, kind of like a, a sexual predator type situation. It's like, what the hell is going on over there?
Yeah, and with this extremism, you still have this stuff going down in Israel, Palestine. Did you hear about what happened to J.D. Vance
No,
and
what
his
happened?
3-year-old daughter?
No.
J.D. Vance and his 3-year-old daughter were just taking a walk, right? Just having some father-daughter time, and
Hmm.
these pro-Palestine people, or no, they're pro-Ukraine people. Excuse me, I'll correct
Right.
myself. Yeah, J.D. Vance says he was confronted by pro-Ukrainian protesters while walking with his toddler daughter. They were chasing him down the street, um, just chanting their little Ukraine slogans.
Like, this is what I don't understand. It's like we sit here and we they look upon nationalism as being a bad thing, but yet they're doing the exact reverse of like for other countries. Like you are being a nationalist for Ukraine and you don't
God,
even see it.
go move there. If you like Ukraine so much, go move there. If you like Canada so much, go move there. You like Mexico so much, go move there. You want to wave your Mexican flag, your Canadian flag, your Ukrainian flag, your Palestinian flag, go move there.
Right. And I mean, that's why I say I saw a car here and I made a little, funny video for the viewers. Mike knows about it. It was somebody from Ontario here in the state of Texas. And I'm like, hopefully you're not one of those whining ones, or why in the hell are you here? And it just hit so true because, I mean, there's so many people that are out here waving the flag of another nation while burning ours and not realizing, hey, you're doing the exact thing that you're saying that we're doing in regards to nationalism just for another country, one you've never been to, more than likely.
Majority of these people have never traveled outside the safety of our borders.
Absolutely, I know. I mean, I know I haven't, and I don't care to. I'm 100% waving the American flag, and I don't care to go anywhere else, honestly, because I mean, they're all wanting to come here. It's like I used
I'm
to say, you got all these Canadians out here who are absolutely annoying the living God out of me with this whole situation. We're about to get into that for a second,
Oh
but
boy.
I see Canadians here in Texas all the time. I don't know about in Arizona. Like when I lived in Michigan, obviously saw them all the time. It's right there, right? But here, all the way down in Texas, I see him daily. It's like,
Well, I mean, you and I both know one personally.
right, and he's on our side. He just
Yeah.
got his green card not too long ago from Canada and can't stand anything. When I posted that video, he actually made a comment on it saying, "Oh, what do you call it? It's called Ontario, but he calls it "Oh terrible."
Yeah. Eric
But
Eric's hilarious, and you know, did he love Canada? Yes. Did he like the direction it's going? No. So he left.
talking talking about Canada, they just held I guess like an internal party election
Yeah.
for to replace Trudeau.
Yeah.
And who did they replace him with? A guy that's 5 times worse than Trudeau.
Well, there's still supposed to be a special election that's going to be coming up in April or May, I believe. And the
Mhm,
Conservative Party up there, they have somebody, and I think when it comes, so it's interesting that that gentleman got picked, right?
mhm.
Because there's like 400,000 members that could vote, but only less than 200,000 voted. So that's kind of fishy to me.
Alright. And I
Yeah,
mean,
like, but yeah, 100% that dude's totally anti-Trump, totally anti, peace. He's Trudeau on steroids. And
absolutely.
but yeah, they're supposed to be holding called a special election in April or May, I believe.
Mhm. And when it comes to that, like, previous to this whole situation, the Conservative Party, or what we would consider the Conservative Party of Canada, were a double-digit lead into the 20s. Like, it was massive lead, and then all of a sudden, it's, like, back to being neck and neck. So it's like, you have to sit here and ask whether or not, first of all, their polls are skewed or not, and if they're not, and they're showing a real reflection, Canadians, what are you doing? Do you not just remember a couple months ago when you guys were calling for him to be removed? You were calling for him to resign, and then he does, and then they pick somebody who's even worse than him, and now you guys are back neck to neck? Y'all don't make no sense to me.
Yeah.
And then
It,
they're sitting over here whining about the whole tariff war, right, Mike?
oh, I'm so
I
tired of hearing about tariffs because people don't know about them. They're not educated on them.
I mean, this is just absolutely insane to me. It's like when you look at, like, we didn't start. They're sitting here saying, "Oh, you started a tariff war with Canadians, your best friends, your biggest allies." I'm like, no, we didn't though, because you haven't abided by the USMCA and a lot of different items that we buy on some of the top imports that we get from you, that you export to us, have some of the highest tariffs I've ever seen. Like, one of the biggest ones that we have is steel, right? Steel is, and that's one of the things that they talk about all the time. Well, where are you going to get your steel if you don't buy them from Canada? Well, I mean, we can go somewhere else and not find a 25% tariff on steel because that's what you have on it right now. What?
100%. I don't know if you know this, but I got a fun fact for you.
Yeah.
So, in the Articles of Confederation debates in 1777, we're going way back.
Mm,
Did you know that Canada had a potential to be the 14th state? This
I did
isn't the
not know
first.
this.
Yeah, this isn't the first time that Canada. I know Donald Trump has joked about it, like Canada should become our 51st state, but this isn't the first time. In the Articles of Debate, or in the Articles of Confederation debates, they considered it.
That's probably where he gets it from, honestly. Because, I mean, historically, Donald Trump he knows his shit. I'm going to say that.
Yeah, that dude, for as old as he is, the amount of information that he retains, like,
Especially about historical events. Like, if you ever hear him talk about historical events, like, you got to get through the Trump mumbo jumbo sometimes. But when you actually hear him talking about the dates and the people and the events, it's like, yo, I didn't even know that.
yeah, like the McKinley Tariff Act.
Hmm. I mean, prior to the whole tariff situation and Trump talking about how he gave details of how our country operated off of tariffs up until 1913, basically, when we
Mhm.
started taking the taxes and whatnot. He gave a whole history lesson on it if you actually watch it back. And people didn't even know about, or most people, let's say, didn't even know about that until him.
Yep. I mean, there's a lot people don't know about our country and how it used to operate. Like, people are still the mindset that the phrase "We the people," the intended audience of the United States Constitution when it was conceived in the debates of 1786 and 87 and ratified in 87, right?
Right.
They thought that the intended audience were white landowners, but that's not the case.
Mm-mm.
So it ultimately, in the beginning, it was largely about states' rights, and majority of the states, beginning states, had already abolished slavery. So you had landowners that were white, black, and female that could also participate in functions of our government.
Right, and that's I tell people all the time. If you look back, people are like, "Well, women didn't have the right to do anything until the 19th Amendment." It's like that's extremely false because in most families here in America and throughout the world, honestly, but more specifically here in America, the land ownership was in the name of the women 99% of the time back in the day.
It's very
No man
matriarchal.
owned land back then. It was primarily the matriarch of the family that owned the land. And when it was
And that
passed down, it was passed down through the mother.
that had a lot to do with the amount of wars that we were involved with.
Right.
So that way it stayed within the family, and
Mhm.
it would stay with the eldest, um, basically the head of household until possibly oldest offspring would take over.
Right.
And we went through a lot of wars. I mean, you're talking about the American Revolution, you're talking about the War of 1812, a lot of
French and
wars.
Indian War, like, going way back. I mean, yeah, for sure. And I mean, I know that we were just talking about Canada for a second, but one thing I did find interesting about your whole comment around that, I don't know if you've heard, pretty much everybody at this point has. Jay Lee brought it up in the comments again. Something I've known about is that Alberta is actually sending delegates to DC, I believe, to actually discuss having them become the 51st state.
That'd be amazing.
Uh, I mean, everybody when talking about Alberta, just to put this in perspective for those that don't know, they refer to Alberta as the Texas of Canada.
hmm I
So
mean,
it's an extremely conservative province.
like when you get outside of Ontario, it's Ontario is the LA of Canada.
Mm, yep,
It's the Dallas of Canada. It's the Phoenix of Canada, right?
right.
Um, you get outside that, it's like conservative land everywhere.
I think the only other one that would probably be as extreme as it would probably be Ottawa.
Yeah,
Um, so it'd be like California and New York to put that in perspective when Ontario and Ottawa. So, but
and,
I mean,
and
that'll be interesting to see how that all develops because I mean, even Greenland, right? I mean, we know about that too. Kind of, and I know this isn't in our schedule, but like when it comes to Greenland, that's a whole developing situation as well. I mean, we all saw the 57% of people, but they're really actually making strides to potentially become a part of the union. And Trump is even making more statements about it rather than it just being, something that he goofed off about. But he's talking about how to develop aid and all of that to send to them and help them develop Greenland once they become part of it.
100%. And he said it in the State of the Union. He said it's 100% their choice. But I look at this from a national security, and even an international security, and
Right.
he's 100% correct. I mean, I've never seen people so against unifying and peace.
Right. It's the weirdest thing. I mean, they how many times did they say that Trump was going to start World War III the first time and the second time, and yet he's the one actually talking about peace all around the world.
100%. And I say it a lot. I've said it a lot on this stream already. Um, you know, we've seen, based on the policies, based on the rhetoric, the Democrats have become extreme, and
That's
they
putting it
they
lightly.
support they support dictator regimes.
Hmm.
Zelensky,
Hmm.
Trudeau, new Trudeau.
They
I don't remember his name, so I'm gonna call him New Trudeau.
neither do I. I
Um,
mean. Call him
But
I call him, Castro Jr., but that's just me.
yeah, Castro 2.0. But it's like the Democrat Party. When I said they are the modern version of the National Socialist Party, and I say it that way because I might be live on TikTok right now. But um, we've seen that happen, and we've seen the Democratic left grow more and more anti-Semitic.
Right?
Like the amount of anti-Semitism oozing out of that party and those voters is just despicable. Like so much you have so much conspiracy theories just going, as a result of it, saying that okay, I'm really curious. Is Trump is Trump bought by the Jews or is he bought by Russia?
It's a real question.
Like you can't be bought by both.
I mean, and just to kind of go off of the whole rhetoric of the Democrats just being absolutely insane, to dive in a little bit of legislation like we do. I mean, just recently, I believe it was the Senate that shot down the bill for protecting women and girls sports and
Yeah.
not allowing transgender athletes to participate in them. So it passed the House. It passed the House and went to Senate, but when it passed the House, there were still 210 Democrats that voted against the bill. And
Yeah.
then what they did in the Senate is they filibustered, which then declared it to have to go through cloture vote, which means that it needs at least 60%, right? Or in the case of the Senate, because there's 100 senators, needs at least 60 senators to vote for it. Well, they killed it because I think 48 or 47 Democrats voted against it.
100%. And, this is there. So the Democrats are not going to win anything going forward. You're going to see during these next midterms, Democrats lose their seats because they are not keeping their promises. Trump, whether something fails or succeeds, he is bringing his promises to the forefront. He says, I'm going to protect our girls in sports. Look
Right.
what I did. I got this bill this far, but the Democrats shot it down.
Hmm.
I have the no tax on tips bill at the House committee right now. I have the no tax on overtime bill at the Senate committee right now.
Right.
If it doesn't go further, it's the Democrats' fault. But this is a promise I kept.
Right. I mean, that's the thing is like, and what I find funny is kind of going back to what we said at the beginning is the Democrat Party falling apart in relation to the whole situation with the protecting of the women and girls sports bill that got shot down. The golden boy of the Democrat Party, as I call him, though the one that they're more than likely going to prop up for the 2028, just went on a podcast with Charlie Kirk, and of course we're talking about Governor Gavin Newsom, and he is coming out saying the same reality that everybody should be saying is that transgender athletes obviously have a biological advantage. Take a
Mhm.
look at this.
Now should come out and be like, you know what? The young man who's about to win the state championship in the long jump in female sports,
Right.
that shouldn't happen. You as the governor should step out
Can
and
I-
say no.
No, and I appreciate
But like, would you do something like that? Would you say no men in female sports?
well, I think it's an issue of fairness. I completely agree with you on that. So that's easy to call out, the unfairness of that. There's also a humility.
And honestly, he just goes on to try and butter up what he just said. But I mean, in all reality, what he just said is the truth. And it seems as though the Democrats can't even get on the same page anymore.
I actually, I really enjoyed that podcast, but it gives the falsehood that Newsom is a likable guy.
Right.
The, smooth around the edges, as smooth as his hair gel. You know what I mean? But when you look at California under his leadership, all you see is destruction. All you see is pandering to a communist party in China. So don't let this fool you. He is not the pick for you. But any chance I have to listen to Charlie Kirk just totally dominate members, governors, members of Congress, teachers, professors at university, I'll watch it because it's fantastic.
goofy TikTokers on college campuses where they don't even go to school at, i.e., Parker.
Oh yeah, I saw that. I saw that. You know, that's a that's a kid that is just wound up so tight, and it would be my opinion, of course. It'd be my opinion. He's wound up so tight because he might have some type of, you know, supplementation going on that just makes him regurgitate 100 miles an hour of just bullshit.
Well, he's trying to keep up with his little buddy Harry Sissons, and in all reality, he knows he can't. This is
Well,
overcompensation, honestly.
Harry Sissons paid hundreds of thousands of dollars, so
We definitely know that now. Thank you, Cindy Lee.
yeah.
But yeah,
Uh,
talking about,
yeah.
people not wanting to have money or not, right? Like everybody's still freaking out about Doge and everything going on in that situation. Give us some updates on that, Mike.
Oh boy, oh boy. So, let's see. The first one I got here. Doge canceled a $600,000 grant to study menstrual cycles in transgender men. Um,
People sit here and say, "Oh, it's only 600,000." Like 600,000. I don't care if it's one penny going towards something that is just absolutely insane, like men having a menstrual cycle. It doesn't happen, guys. Like, why are you okay with any amount of money going to something as ridiculous as studying men who have gonads in between their legs? Where are they bleeding from? Like, stop this nonsense.
the incisions.
Oh Lord. All
So,
right.
Doge canceled VA funding, and so I premise it
I know
like
that's been
this:
a hot topic this week.
Doge Doge has canceled over $56,000 of VA funding, and it pertained to a $56,000 contract to water 8 plants. I'm sure that that $56,000, was important to veterans.
Hold up, hold up, hold
As
up,
far
hold
as
up. You're saying that they had a
yes,
contract for $56,000, basically
a
a
year.
middle class, a lower middle class person's yearly wage to water plants.
So basically, they contracted an individual to go and water 8 plants. What'd you do at work today, honey? Oh, I watered 8 plants.
Yeah, God forbid we ever develop something called like a sprinkler, for Christ's sake.
Or just
Jesus.
get rid of the plants because there's fake plants out there. Just get some fake plants. It's cheaper. Doge also said, we will water them for free. Also, if y'all didn't know, the people working for Doge is completely voluntary and they do it for free. So,
Now I know that Doge,
um,
or they talked about also canceling some more in regards to the VA, but there's a lot of misunderstanding around it because a lot of people think that veterans are going to lose their benefits because of these supposed cuts. However, what it had to do with staffing, basically, is indirect finances or funding, which means that it's going towards people that are non-essential workers.
mhm,
The veterans are not losing
yeah,
their
no,
benefits, guys. Like,
no. We receive an increase on benefits yearly. Um, so when Trump took office, there was a backlog of disability and compensation packages in something like the hundreds of thousands. And in his 4-year term, Trump reduced that to 40,000. So over 4 years, he reduced hundreds of thousands of a backlog to 40,000. And then Biden gets in, he hires an additional 40,000 um, workers, right? Which are non-essential,
Right.
and the backlog is now back to over 200,000. So what's happening is they're going through the VA federal workforce and getting rid of the non-essential jobs. They are trimming the fat. And as Senator John Kennedy would say in Louisiana, when you trim the fat, pigs squeal. So I love John Kennedy.
Absolutely. Let's see here. So, I mean, I know one of the bigger things that a lot of people are still like, we've got a lot on Doge, honestly, but at this point, it seems as though nobody really cares about it because there's this notion that what they're doing is illegal or they don't have the right people doing it. And this mantra of, oh, he's out to just benefit himself. None of it's based in any factual information, right? Outside of the fact that, they have computer hackers, right? Is how they labeled them. Like, there's a reason why they have those individuals getting into the system so they can, encrypt make sure that there's no encrypted information, and if there is, they can uncover it. And they have been. So going into these numbers for us on our side is important. Like, I know that there was 247 cancellations of wasteful contracts. Mike, you want to give us a little bit more on that?
Yeah. So the ceiling value, so the most they could spend on these contracts added it all together was 999 million plus. So canceling these contracts saved an estimated 390 million, including a $3.5 million Department of the VA consulting contract for outsourced enterprise mail management program, which the VA said, "Oh, we could have probably handled that in office or in house."
But these are
Um,
the things people are mad about,
um,
though, Mike. I don't get it.
what they don't read, you can go on Doge.com or Doge.gov, excuse me, and you can get this information, and you can see, they're trying to say that Trump was lying about transgender mice. Like, you could see everything that they pay for. Like, the NIH canceled 7 grants for transgender experiments on animals, including uh, $500,000 to use a mouse model to investigate the effects of cross-sex testosterone treatment. 33,000 to test feminizing hormone therapy in the male rat. That's important. So, so it's like you can go on there and you can see the estimated savings so far on March 10th. As of March 5th, it's $105 billion. So that comes out to about $652 per taxpayer. And there's only about 167 million taxpayers.
Hmm. I mean, $652. People would be like, "Oh, that doesn't mean anything." But like, I got bills. I could. I mean, I could use $652. I don't know about you. I'm pretty sure everybody in the middle and lower class could use $652. If they're a paying taxpayer. But yet they don't look at these
100.
kind of things. They look at the little numbers and they're like, "Oh, that's nothing. That's nothing." It doesn't mean that we shouldn't make sure it's going in the right place. Like, it
Yeah,
just it baffles my mind to see
it's
how
wild.
financially illiterate people are because they take these small amounts and they're like, "Oh, that's small there, that's small there, that's small there." But it's like, add those
It adds
together
up.
and you have a big thing.
It's like your streaming services. That's why you have no money. That's why you're not able to diversify your income because you're spending all your money on Netflix, Apple, and Amazon. You don't realize how much all that adds up. So, um, yeah, it's quite wild, and I'm not holding my breath on it, but it'd be really cool when all this is said and done, because this is literally only probably 3% of the government budget as of right now.
Mhm.
And, as far as the audit is concerned, and they're working overtime, but all the money that they save, a percentage of it is supposed to go back to the American people, which could be a $5,000 check. And if you're a Democrat, I want you to send that money back. You don't you don't support it. Why should you get it? Send it
Mhm.
back. Let them use that $5,000 check that you didn't support to get to pay off the national debt.
Right.
So
I mean,
I'll
and
take
talking
that
about
5,000.
yeah, I mean, I know one thing that's been really on people's minds this week is the whole situation with the stock market, right?
Oh
And
God.
that is definitely something that I wanted to talk about just because a lot of people just are freaking out about it. Is when we take a look at the Dow right now, it's still over 41,000, right? Just under 42. Over the last, this is just today. When you look at the last 5 days, we're about down 2.5%, a little over 2.5%. Over the last month, we're at 5%. And people are freaking out over this because they don't understand what's all being, kicked into this. People are thinking that it's just because of the tariffs, and that's just not true. It also has to do with people buying less and operating in the United States at a less capacity because pricing of goods and services are through the roof right now, and Trump and his team is trying to make adjustments to that. But one big thing that people haven't been talking about is the mineral rights deal that was
100%.
going to give us billions of dollars into our economy.
But if you go two tabs over, so it actually looks more like a flat line, maybe three. So like you see a progression, and the
Right.
stock market is extremely volatile. It's like the crypto market, and
I mean,
all the people that are complaining about the stock market or the crypto market are, you're not diversifying into the stock market anyway.
so like for example, like Donald Trump took office right here, right over the or well it's back here, like back over here. It actually went up a little bit, and it's gone down to basically where it was when he took office, a
Hmm.
little bit less, right? Not by much, but the thing is what they're talking about 2,000 points in the stock market, right? But why weren't they talking about this bend right here? Why weren't they talking about this month right here that where we lost 2,000? Why didn't they talk about it right here when we lost, almost 3,000? That's what I
What
don't understand is the inconsistency with the Democrats.
when did you see like let's see, what is the first curve closest to Donald Trump where it does a significant jump? Yeah, that what month is that at the bottom?
So from right here, this is day two of him in office. It's at 44, just over 44, right?
Hmm.
So big jump. So from January 21st, oh, now the dates are coming up. Of course not. Well, it's at the bottom. To January 30th, we gained almost 1,000 points just by him taking office, basically.
Yep. You know, like I said, it's the stock market is extremely volatile, so it's constantly fluctuating, but it's not fluctuating enough to make me freak out because
No.
I understand how it goes. This is an adjustment period, and when the mineral rights deal comes, you're going to see that stock market jump.
People, this is what I don't understand. So, like in April, right? In 1 month, they lost 2,000 points in April. In May to the beginning of June, they lost 2,000 points. From July to the end of the beginning of August, 1 month, they lost 2,000 points. Like it happens. And this happened multiple times just last year under Joe Biden.
Yeah, it it's all about you're in you invest in it for a significant period of time. You wait for it to jump, and then you cash out, and it drops.
Right. And just what we did the math the other day was we have couple $1 trillion that are going to be invested into the United States over the next few years, which is going to absolutely make a huge jump. Once we get this mineral rights deal into place, it's going to be you watch the stock market rebound in a matter of a week. But you got $4.1 billion from a steel company called Nippon Steel that's going to be investing. We have $500 billion being invested from Apple back into the United States. We have Stargate with $500 million. $600 billion from Saudi Arabia is going to be implemented here in the United States with multiple businesses. So, I mean, we've got countries from around the world, businesses from around the world that are coming here, and people talking about the tariffs from Canada. Some of the biggest, fastest growing food distributors in Canada had come out the day that they were announced, saying that they're closing down their operations in Canada, moving to the United States.
100%. I mean, you have so much investment coming from a variety of different backgrounds. Like, uh, mentioned the mineral rights deal. You mentioned Apple. Um, there's just billions of dollars being invested in this country. Honda,
Hmm.
Toyota, like so you have the auto industry, you have the steel industry, you have the technology industry, the AI industry. You're gonna see this thing jump,
Oh, it's going to be massive too.
and Apple alone said they're bringing. What they say they're bringing 20,000 jobs.
Yeah, so that 500 billion is going to be invested here in the Texas area, and just here in Texas, it's going to bring anywhere from 20 to 30,000 jobs just in the Austin area.
And then, you know, Texas, just wait till they start opening up those refineries and getting rid of the
Mm,
regulation. That way you can start refining more efficiently in Texas. Because Texas is the largest refinery, is the largest area of refineries in the United States.
right,
So
and that
Texas is about to boom.
right, and that's one thing that I've never really understood is like a lot of people are crying about the tariffs against Canada and all this other situations that's going on, especially when it comes to steel and the oil and things like that. It's like, oh, we sell it to them to refine and then get it comes back to us. It's like you do realize that Texas alone refines even with the limited capacity because they do have refineries that have shut down due to several regulations from the Biden administration that have impeded their ability. We still, what is it, six times more than all of Canada is refined here in Texas alone. So just wait until these oil companies get these tax advantages by coming back and investing into America like Trump promised, which is why you see all these other companies coming here and watch them absolutely explode their the expansion here just in Texas, but I mean, you got numerous states, Oklahoma, all of them. But
You know,
I'll never understand this nonsense with Canada and because people are like, oh, we're gonna lose this fight. He's already folding. It's like, no, we're not. Like, I don't think you guys realize the extent of the hold that we have on Canada. So let me just show you what I'm talking about. This is Mexico. But it's basically the exact same thing. I don't have the Canada one up, but I mean, we can talk about Mexico as too. Like anything when it comes to Mexico and Canada, like they're going to do what we want. Why? Because they're top 5 export import partners. We make up 3/4 of both of them. I believe Canada is 76%, while
yeah.
Mexico is 78%.
Hmm.
They are going to lose this fast because their country will go into an absolute spiral economically to the point where there will be riots across the country because of what will happen.
And it was the stupidest thing I've ever seen. You have in Canada, you had these people taking American-made whiskey or liquor off the shelves, even though you've already paid the tariff on it.
I mean, it's not even that. It's like you've paid full price for it already. Like not only the tariff, but the actual price of the product in and of itself to put it on your shelf, and now you're taking it off to where nobody can actually purchase it. You're taking that at a 100% loss.
100%. And
And we're
you know, uh, go ahead.
we're supposed to take you serious from a financial aspect when you're literally burning your own money?
No, and Canada doesn't care about its citizens.
Clearly, they all want to come here.
Yeah, and they're moving in droves. But you know, I know we're pushing the hour mark to get to end on a light note, which I thought was really cool because I'm a nerd, and and so James Earl Jones, the man who voiced Darth Vader.
Michigan man. True
So,
Michigan man.
So, HR 1933 is to award posthumously a Congressional Gold Medal to James Earl Jones, an American icon.
The voice
So,
of Michigan football, baby.
the voice of Darth Vader, and
I don't think a lot of people know that. He's actually a Michigan alumni, and they play this video. If you've ever been to Michigan Stadium or the Big House, there's this video that they play every year right before the first game, and he's the one voicing it.
he's also in The Sandlot.
Yep.
He also did the play Fences, which Denzel Washington took over. I mean, just you hear that voice and you're like, oh, that's Darth Vader. That's Mufasa.
Iconic.
Mufasa from the Lion King.
Yes, sir.
But
thank you guys all for coming in today, though.
Should be recognized.
Yeah, for sure, absolutely. I think we got a little bit of delay, but that's okay. My internet's screwing up today, so. But again, guys, we want to thank you guys coming in. We've got a list of different bills and whatnot that we're watching right now. Hopefully, we'll have some more information, especially on Saturday. So tune in on Saturday. Radio 𝗬𝗢𝗡𝗡𝗖𝗧 99.5. You can follow them on Facebook. If you don't, if you're not in the Houston area, obviously. And then obviously on Monday nights, come back and join us, and we'll give you guys more information. We're going to be possibly pulling in some new guests as well and getting their perspective of everything going on. So tune in for that. But take us home, Mike.
100%. Thank you so much for tuning into America's Greatest Podcast. You can follow us on Radio 𝗬𝗢𝗡𝗡𝗖𝗧 on Facebook. You can follow the Legislative Lounge on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Rumble, Twitch, and Patreon. And have a blessed day. We love you.
Thank you.